Hello, citizens of the internet. We are anonymous.
If black kids are angry, it's because we poison their brains. Literally. Oh, you think black people are more violent? So weird how that happened right after we poisoned all their neighborhoods with lead. Fucking crazy. Oh, and this is not any conspiracy theory or anything like that. This is well-documented US history. And if nobody taught you this, it's probably because they didn't want you to know. So yeah, welcome to my latest rabbit hole. So let's start off with the science behind lead. Lead exposure is like one of the worst things that you can do to a developing child brain. It causes permanent damage to the part of the brain that deals with judgment and impulse control. It reduces IQ and it increases aggression and risk-taking. This is proven. It causes learning disabilities, attention issues, and behavioral disorders. And it raises the chance of arrest, school expulsion, and unemployment later in life. And for most of the 20th century, poor black communities were deliberately soaked with this shit. Their homes, their pipes, their air, their soil, you name it, fucking lead. So wait a minute, if lead was so dangerous, why are we using it? And you guessed it, money. Tale as old as time, baby. Lead in the paint made it dry faster, it stuck better to surfaces, it resisted moisture and peeling, and it just looked like shinier and more vibrant, you know? And this was great for landlords and government-assisted housing, you know, the places that are trying to cut costs and shit. Perfect for them. Oh, but we also put it in gasoline too, but we made a new name for it though, so it sounds a little bit better. They called it tetraethyl lead, which this ended up making cars run better, you didn't have the knocking from engines, and it allowed manufacturers like GM to make their high performance cars. So win-win, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, even though all the factory workers in the GM plants and the DuPont plants and stuff like that started hallucinating and seeing bugs, like they literally called it the House of Butterflies, because people were seeing bugs and swatting up. But yeah, even though all of this shit was actively happening, they were like, I think we're safe. Honestly, I think we're good. But they also put lead in all the pipes and stuff. So all your water's coming to your house, whatever, it's going through lead because lead was cheaper, it was easier to bend, you know, just, it's better, you know? But like, here's the thing, if we knew lead was bad, like we wouldn't have known this and still pushed it, right? Let's try again. Ready for this little timeline? In 1904, Australian doctors warned that lead paint killed children. France and Australia said, oh God, terrifying, ban it. The US said, I'll be all right. In 1992, the League of Nations recommended a global ban on lead paint. They said, this shit's bad. Nobody should be using this. And the US said, I'd rather not. Oh, and you can thank Sherwin-Williams for that and the Lead Industries Association, which was lobbying Congress. So round of applause, Sherwin-Williams, thank you so much. Oh, but then we got in 1924 when the workers at Standard Oil's New Jersey refinery died in mass. But they were hysterical. That was workers' hysteria. That was not lead, baby. So like, we're fine. Oh, and then in 1943, they had US studies that showed low-level exposure lowered your IQ. But still we were like, let's just bury those. Like, nobody needs to see those, okay? And then in 1971, the CDC created a safe threshold, but they put it like really fucking high. They're like, this is safe, like, I guess we'll be fine. Stop complaining. You have your freedom, shut up, you know? Oh, but of course with this law, there was no enforcement in black communities because why would we do that? What? And then in 1978, the US finally banned residential paint, but oh, that was only for new construction. And there was no requirement of cleaning up the old lead paint. So, you know, the projects, the government housing, all those places where you pushed all those poor people into, yeah, we're not going back there. But the new homes, the rich people, we good, we Gucci, baby. And here's where it gets really fucking crazy because it had me thinking, how many major cities were affected by this? Let's go through the list. We have Baltimore, Maryland. By the 1990s, 94% of poisoned children were, you guessed it, black. Ooh, yep. Peeling paint in aging row homes, water pipes, industrial waste sites saturated entire neighborhoods. Freddie Gray, yep, that one, the one that killed by the police in 2015. Yep, he was one of the poison guys. When they did the autopsy, they showed cognitive damage, ADHD, and lead-related developmental delays. Crazy. Go figure, right? Baltimore's murder rate peaked at 353 in 1993, one of the highest in US history. And today, estimated 75,000 to 100,000 people are still affected. St. Louis, Missouri. Over 80% of black children tested in the 1990s had elevated blood lead levels. Public housing in North St. Louis was never remediated, like ever. Oh, and as recently as 2016, the city testing still found unsafe levels in kids' blood. So yeah, they estimate around 65,000 to 85,000 people are still being affected today in 2025. And most of these people live in neighborhoods with zero accountability. They're like, whatever, you got this, you're fine. And then we got Cleveland, Ohio. In 2004, more than 85% of homes still had lead paint. In fucking 2004, the city didn't enforce lead safety laws until 2019. Are you fucking kidding me? In 2018, Cleveland had the highest rate of lead exposure in Ohio, in the entire fucking state. Oh, and today, they're estimating around 70,000, 90,000 people are still affected, especially in East Cleveland and Glenville. God, this is fucking wild. Then we got Chicago. Chicago had the most lead service lines in the country, over 400,000. In the 1980s and 2000s, public housing projects like Cabrini Green were full of peeling lead paint and lead-tainted soil. Oh, and even now, South and West Side schools still show lower testing scores and higher suspension rates that correlate with historic lead maps. Like, the math is mathin'. Just do the fucking equation. And they estimate that today, around 200,000 to 250,000 people are still affected. Then we got Philadelphia. In 2000, 40% of children in some zip codes still tested positive for lead. Oh, but the enforcement laws exist there. They're just, not funded or followed or anything like that. Red tape, whatever. And in 2020, so 5 years ago, over 80% of rental units are still fucking failing the lead safety checks. And of course, they're in low-income neighborhoods. Go figure. So they estimate that around 90,000 to 120,000 people in the Philadelphia area are still being affected today. Then we got New York City. New York City banned lead paint in 1960, but the Housing Authority lied about the cleanup. In 2018, a federal investigation revealed that 19,000 children still living in the units that tested positive for lead. 19,000! The Bronx in particular shows the highest overlap between historical lead exposure and modern-day crime, incarceration, and underfunded schools. Still affected today, they're estimating around 250,000 to 300,000 people. So you want the total number of all these cities combined together? Yeah, they're estimating between 750,000 people and 945,000 people right now in 2025. But here's the most fucked up part about all of this. Let's say somebody escapes. You're 7 years old, you run away, you go live in Beverly Hills, I don't know, whatever the fuck. It doesn't leave you. You can literally pass lead poisoning on to your children through epigenetics. Lead does not mutate your DNA, but it changes how your genes express themselves. This ends up changing, I don't know, stress response, brain development, immune systems. So that means if someone was poisoned as a kid, they could still pass this shit down to their kid. Their kid could end up with lead in their bones. During pregnancy, the lead is released back into the bloodstream and passed directly to the fetus. Your child can be born with higher risks of anxiety, attention problems, learning disabilities, executive dysfunction. So even if you're in a nice neighborhood and you were lead poisoned as a kid, you're still fucked. So what happens when you poison millions of children and just send them off into the world and criminalize their behavior afterwards? You get over-policed communities, mass incarceration, general poverty, schools that fail, and entire families marked as failure before they even had a fucking chance. This is not culture or bad parenting. This is not a moral failing. This is fucking chemical warfare. And this shit has been hidden in plain sight, engineered by corporations, approved by the government, and then buried under the headlines like black on black crime. So next time somebody says, well, black communities are just more violent, show them the fucking paint chips. Because I'll tell you right now, the studies showed that effects come about 20 years after the lead poisoning, which means the last people that have been poisoned, well, there's still shit going on right now, but we're still dealing with these effects. This shit's not gonna go away until we fix the root cause. So next time somebody says, systemic racism isn't real, I don't even know what that means, show them this fucking video. Because this shit, like I said, is fucking chemical warfare and absolutely unacceptable. And what you're looking at isn't a crime, baby. It's a fucking crime scene. And the criminals, still rich, still free, still in office. We need to fix that.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.